Hello everybody, welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I have an interesting video for you. Today I want to talk about the Esbit alcohol cook set. Now this thing is written in many languages. I'm going to go right here to the back and I'm going to read this English. Made of extremely light, hard anodized aluminum, 985 milliliters or 33 ounce pot, 470 milliliter 16 ounce pot, stand, alcohol burner made with brass. Option to use Esbit solid fuel tray for solid fuel is included. Stand, alcohol burner, and tray can be stored in the big pot to save space. Small pot also serves as a lid. Pots with two hinged grips made of stainless steel. Big pot with volume indicator in milliliters or ounces. Stores in convenient mesh bag. So there's a look at the, apparently this has an alcohol burner with it, and it also will accept the Esbit fuel cubes. These are 14 grams cubes. They run for approximately 12 minutes a piece. There's 12 of them in this package. You can buy these separately on Amazon. They're like 12 bucks, or excuse me, like 6 bucks for 12 tablets. So let's open this up. Let's get our first impression. I'm going to pull that out. There is only one other thing in the box here. You can see me pulling it out. And that, my friends, is the owner's manual, instruction booklet, which a lot of us probably don't tend to read, but I like looking at pictures, so let's take a look. So that's what it looks like. So you have a pot, a lid, which is a small pot, you have a stove stand, and then it'll fit an alcohol stove inside. Here's a little bit of directions, multiple languages, and there's another picture of what's included here. So let's see what's inside. When you first open this up, you can see that everything's packaged very well. First thing that we see is the small pot, which doubles as a lid. Put this plastic away. So let's take a look. Wow, the rivets are nice and solid. This is hard anodized aluminum. Nice rivets, excellent job. You can see that the pot has a indentation on the bottom, and what that's for is that will correspond to the stove. Wow, that is nice. And they say that this is also useful as a lid. So I pull out another package, but I want to show the large pot. So there's nice mesh bags here. Let's take the plastic off here and we'll look at the larger of the two pots. So here is the larger pot. It's got the logo written right on the side. Esbit, again, the same kind of quality, butterfly handles, good. You know, and I did a video on the other Esbit, the smaller one that was, it was 500 milliliters or something like that. It was 16 ounces, and it had these same rubber handles on them, on the stainless steel, and I thought that it was going to burn those off when I used it on a conventional stove, but it didn't. Surprised me. Now if you look inside, you can see there's some beautiful, very nice measurements. That's really cool. So there's a look at the pot. You can see the measurements from the outside. You got a nice pour spout here, so you could pour your liquid. Again, the bottom has the same feature. It'll nest inside the stove, and it says that this will act as a lid, which it does. You can see it right there, and nothing moves. Everything's nice and solid. So they both have the bottom, which is the same size, which will correspond to the stove. So you have a small pot. I wonder if the large pot would serve as a lid for the small pot. Okay, I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't know why you'd want to do that unless you wanted to make an oven out of it or something. So there's the pots themselves. Let's take a look and see what's in this compartment. Let's look at the stove. So again, we have a nice quality stuff sack that everything's in. Let's pull the stove out. Inside the stove, you see a nice little alcohol burner with the Esbit name on it. Now, I'm not going to be using this exact burner in the test today. I have another one I'm going to be using. It's the Alox. I mean, these alcohol burners are they're pretty common. So I'll set that aside. But you do get a nice quality alcohol burner. This is an Alox burner. It's already fueled up, ready to go. Same thing, pretty much. So here is the stove, and inside the stove you have this little stand. That's for the alcohol fuel tablets, hexamine tablets I should say. Move the alcohol stove out of the way. This little piece right here serves as a solid fuel stand. So you'd set your solid fuels on top here, and I'm guessing that this would sit inside something like this. So it would probably sit inside like that, and you'd put your solid fuel on top of this, and it'll raise the height to get the solid fuel closer to the bottom of the pan. See that? So you get a good burn out of it. Now if you flip this baby over and rest it in like this, you can see that you still have an air inlet, and your alcohol stove can very easily sit right down inside of there. This is the fuel that I like to use, the yellow bottle. I don't use the red bottle. I've tried it in the past and it just doesn't work for me. So I recommend the yellow bottle of heat. Another fuel option that works extremely well is just standard denatured alcohol. That works good too. So for the test today, I'm going to boil 2 cups of water. So I'm going to pour 2 cups in here. We're going to go to about 16 ounces, and it's nice having those graduation markers right there. That's about 16 ounces of water. And the water that I'm using right now is at room temperature. I have my timer in the back now. Let's go ahead and light that stove up, and I'm going to let it preheat for a little bit. Now these alcohol stoves are pretty much based on the original Trangia. These are great stoves. Solid construction. This is like serves as a simmer ring, so you can turn your flame down to whatever type of flame you want, however much power you want. They also have a lid which has an O-ring that seals against the stove burner so you don't lose your fuel. So you can store these in your pack with fuel in them if you choose to. Looks like that stove is ready to go. We will put the pot on the stove. I will start that timer, and I'll also put the lid on the top here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little more about these alcohol stoves while we're waiting for this to boil. So the one that I'm using today, again, that's the Alox. They're pretty much the same thing. Let's take a closer look at this brand new one though. I just didn't want to use it, you know, when I already have a couple of them. So let's take a look. It's got the nice Esbit name on it. So this is like their simmer ring. Looks like the lid's stuck inside the simmer ring. Bear with me. There we go. So there is the simmer ring. So you just open this thing up to however much flame you want. Again, look at that nice Esbit logo. Pretty cool. Simmer ring. We're a minute in. You can undo that and look inside. Pretty much the same thing as the Trangia or the Alox. These alcohol stoves are pretty much the same design. So not really any need to break out the new one. So we're approaching a minute and a half. Put this back in the packaging. I'll probably end up giving this to one of my friends or something. I have plenty of alcohol stoves, and you know, another thing come to mind while I'm thinking about that, and that's the fact that if you don't have an alcohol stove, you can make a soda can stove, set that baby in there, and I think you could, you know, you wouldn't want to make one this tall. You'd want to make one about the same height as what these alcohol stoves are. But I'm sure you could put one of those babies in there, or, you know, like my Arizona tea can alcohol stove. These things crank, they work good. So those are just some other options that you can think about when it comes to working on these stoves. So let's take a closer look down at that flame down underneath. Wow, check that out. Pretty cool. Two and a half minutes in. These alcohol stoves, they put out a lot of heat, folks. A lot of people don't realize how strong they really are. So you can see that the stove is very efficient in how it's putting its heat against the bottom of the pan. I really like this. This is pretty cool little setup. We're at the 3-minute mark. Let's go ahead and take a look and see where our water is. Are we even close to a boil? We're definitely showing some heat down there, but we're not close yet. So we're at the 4-minute mark and things are going well. I like this stove stand because one of the stove stands that I used to use for my alcohol stoves was one of these guys. And they're kind of efficient. You know, you set your stove in there and then your pot sits on top of that and it works okay. I mean, I've had better options and I think this option is a lot nicer, simply based on the fact that the pot sits into the stove, so they're kind of fitting together. I thought that was a pretty cool option. I really like the quality that they put into these pots. I mean, the rivets are solid, the butterfly handles are solid. The stove is made out of good material. This whole set has a very solid feel to it. It feels like something that you could rely on if you needed to. 9 minutes in. What are we looking like? Yep, we're at a rolling boil, folks. Let me give you a closer look at that. So it took us 9 minutes to reach a very nice boil. That's pretty cool. If you want to put your flame out, you can just slough it, just like that. So that gives you an option to refill or whatever you need to do, but honestly, it didn't take that much fuel. You can see that the fuel level is still pretty high. I'm going to try to see if it'll hold this 10-inch cast iron pan. Yeah, it looks good. Get a little olive oil. Some people choose butter. I like olive oil. Definitely don't want those eggs sticking. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to scramble them in the pan. That's a perfect heat. I would put salt and pepper on it, but I just got back from a camping trip and my salt and pepper is still in my bag. So no salt and pepper today. See how that flame just goes right out onto the pan? It even comes out of those vents a little bit. That is excellent flame spread pattern. And that stove is holding those eggs very well. You can see that I have plenty of cooking power too. It's not, you know, having a hard time or anything like that. It's actually cooking these eggs pretty well. They're almost done. So who would have thought, you know, you could cook something nice like this with an alcohol stove? A lot of people don't know about these. Even my soda can stoves, they perform very well. I really enjoy the alcohol stoves. They're plenty of power. They get plenty of heat. You know, you get plenty of heat out of them. They're quiet. They're silent. They're light. Cool thing about the fuel is you can find alcohol in a lot of places. If you use like a isopropyl type alcohol, get the highest percentage you can. So try to get like the 91% or higher if possible, because those lower percentages of alcohol, they have a lot of water in them, and you're going to have a bad soot on the bottom of your pan. You're going to get a lot of soot. It's going to be a mess. It's not going to be very fun. So those eggs are looking mighty good. I just wish I had my salt and pepper with me. Let's throw some cheese on those babies. I like a lot of cheese. I'm like a cheeseaholic. That's one of my weaknesses, folks, cheese. And although it might sound funny, because of the fact that I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, so I'm literally a cheesehead. I like how the slough fits right through that gap. So there it is, it's out. I think this was a great product by Esbit. Very nice product. So folks, I want to say thank you for joining me on this video today. I hope you had some fun with me. I hope you got some good useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. Give this a thumbs up. Check the description box if you would, because I'll put a link to where you can find this product down there. And until next time folks, have a beautiful day. Thanks again for watching, and we'll talk at you next time.